Ever catch yourself like totally engrossed in a movie in English, following every single plot twist, every punchline, but then try to put together a simple sentence yourself, and suddenly it's like your tongue has a mind of its own. You get it, you really do,
Yeah.
but speaking, whole different ballgame, am I right? And you are so not alone. So today we're doing a deep dive into this guide that's basically like a personal trainer, but for your English speaking skills. And the best part, you've already got a head start.
That's the thing. You've already got the understanding, which is huge.
Right. Like you're already halfway there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think of this guide as your toolkit for like bridging that gap, you know, between getting it and actually speaking confidently.
Like totally. It's like you've got all the ingredients, but now you need the recipe to whip up something amazing.
100%.
And speaking of recipes, this guide, it kicks off with a classic practice.
Okay.
But hold on, before you click away thinking boring drills, trust me, this is different. This is all about making fluency feel like second nature. One thing that jumped out at me, these online language partner apps,
Oh, yeah.
Tandem, HelloTalk, Speaky, have you heard of these?
Yeah, definitely.
So they connect you with people like all over the world who want to practice just like you.
And what I find really cool about these platforms is they kind of tap into this like different kind of learning. You know, it's not just you in a textbook.
It's like real deal, right?
Exactly. Real-time conversations, different accents. And you realize like it's okay to mess up a bit.
It takes the pressure off, right?
Totally. It's like, you know, when you're learning to ride a bike and you have those training wheels?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like that. You're building up your confidence, knowing it's all right to like stumble a few times before you're off and racing.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who thrives on, you know, actual face-to-face interaction, the guide also talks about those local English conversation clubs. Have you ever been to one of those?
I have, yeah. They're great.
What's the vibe like? Because I imagine it's like this really cool space where everyone's there for the same reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's there to improve. Everyone's a little nervous. And it just creates this really supportive, encouraging environment.
No judgment, just everyone kind of fumbling along together.
Exactly. It's like, think about learning to swim, right? You can read all the books, watch all the videos, but nothing, and I mean nothing, beats actually getting in the pool.
Jumping in the deep end, right?
Yes, exactly. You've got to just do it.
And that's what I appreciate about this guide. It really stresses finding what works for you,
Completely.
whether it's online chats during your lunch break or finding a local group.
Whatever fits your life.
Right. It's about making it a part of your routine, not another chore on your to-do list.
Exactly.
Okay, but get this, it gets even cooler. You ready for this?
Hit me.
There's this technique called shadowing. Imagine this. You're learning guitar, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to play along to your favorite guitarist, like note for note. Shadowing is kind of like that, but for language.
It's true, and it works.
Okay, so break it down. How does it work?
So you're basically listening to native speakers, right? Could be podcasts, could be movies, anything. And you're trying to copy their pronunciation, their intonation, everything as closely as you can. It's like their shadow echoing their every word. Whoa, that's actually really cool.
It's pretty neat. It might feel a little strange at first, but think about it. It's kind of like how babies learn language, you know?
Yeah, they're not cracking open grammar books.
Exactly. They listen, they imitate.
It's like their own version of shadowing.
Precisely. And shadowing, it's tapping into that same like natural learning process.
Wow. And the best part, I'm assuming, is you can basically shadow anything you enjoy.
Oh, absolutely. Love binge watching. Put on your favorite show, try shadowing the characters.
So meta. Learning English while watching your favorite show in English. That's awesome.
It's like you're not even really thinking about it, you know? You're just absorbing the sounds, the rhythms. It's like your brain is literally downloading the software for spoken English. Okay, but speaking of rewiring your brain, this next tip, it's all about like a mindset shift. We're talking about going beyond just understanding to actually thinking in English.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? When you translate in your head, it's like you hit this speed bump every time you try to speak.
It creates a delay.
Exactly. It's this mental roadblock that can make your speech sound, you know, kind of hesitant.
Makes sense.
But when you think in English, boom, direct line from your brain to your mouth.
Like trading in that old clunky map for a state-of-the-art GPS. Okay, I'm sold. But how do you actually like flip that switch? Because that sounds a little intimidating, you know, like telling your brain to operate in a whole new language.
I hear you. It can feel strange, definitely. The key is to start small. Don't overwhelm yourself trying to think in English 24/7, right? Start with little moments throughout your day. Like, let's say you're making coffee in the morning.
Okay, I do that every morning.
Perfect. So describe the process to yourself, but in English. Waiting for the bus, narrate the scene, the people, everything, but in English.
So it's about sneaking in those little English moments, like without even realizing it.
Exactly. Just like flexing a new muscle.
Okay.
And then as you get more comfortable with those little moments, you start expanding, right? Start forming opinions about stuff, like what you read in the news, but do it in English.
Oh, I like that. Having those internal debates, but in English.
Exactly. Even daydreaming. Try doing it in English. It might sound silly.
No, but I totally get it.
You're basically training your brain to be as comfortable in English as it is in your native language.
It's like anything else in life,
Yeah.
right? The more you do it, the easier it becomes. Okay, so speaking of comfort, the next tip is about getting comfy with the sound of your own voice in English. And yes, you guessed it, it involves talking to yourself.
I know. It sounds a little crazy, right? But think about it. When you're alone, no pressure, zero judgment. It's your own little space to experiment, make mistakes, try out different ways of saying things.
It's like having a private rehearsal space just for you and your English skills. The guide talks about treating it like a fun challenge. Narrate what you're cooking, have those imaginary arguments, even sing along to your favorite English tunes. Just get those vocal cords warmed up.
It's about building that familiarity, that confidence. The more you hear yourself speaking, the less foreign it'll sound. And when you do talk to others, it'll just flow more naturally.
Makes sense. And you know what else is kind of cool? The guide also talks about using tech to help with fluency, specifically those speech-to-text apps. We all have them, right? But probably not something we think of using for, language practice.
Right. But it's amazing how helpful tech can be. Google Translate, Microsoft Word, they all have those voice input features now. And honestly, they're pretty good.
So it's like having your own digital pronunciation coach right in your pocket. So how to use them effectively. The guide basically says, talk to it. Speak naturally just like you would in a conversation and see what happens.
Exactly. And pay attention. If it stumbles on a word or constantly misunderstands you, that's a sign. Maybe you're not enunciating clearly enough, or maybe your intonation is a little off.
It's like playing a game against the app. But it's not about sounding like a robot, right?
No, not at all. It's about identifying those little things you can tweak to sound clearer and make yourself easier to understand.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about apps, online partners, conversation clubs, but you know what else is a goldmine for learning real-world English?
Let me guess, movies, TV shows.
Ding, ding, ding. We've got a winner. Seriously, we spend so much time consuming entertainment, we kind of forget that it's also like a language learning playground.
Totally. And it's not just about passive watching or listening either.
Right, it's about really paying attention.
Engage with it. Notice how native speakers talk, the slang they use, the expressions.
The way they connect everything so seamlessly. Okay, so I'm picturing this now, I'm binging my favorite show, but instead of just zoning out, I'm turning it into this language learning lab.
Exactly. Put on those subtitles, grab your headphones, get ready to really absorb the language.
It's like a listening party, but for your English skills.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to hit that pause button, rewind, repeat.
Exactly. Mimic how the actors say things, their tone, everything. Trust me, it makes a difference.
So cool. It's amazing how much you can pick up just by surrounding yourself with the language.
Yeah.
And speaking of picking things up, this next tip, this was a big aha moment for me. It's about understanding something called collocations, which, I'll be honest, sounded super technical at first. Collocations, yeah, it does sound kind of like something you'd hear in a science lab. Turns out, though, it's actually way simpler than it sounds.
It really is. Basically, we're talking about those words that naturally go together in English, dynamic duos of the grammar world.
Okay, yeah, like best buds. I get it. So give us an example. What's a classic collocation?
Okay, so you would make a decision, right? You wouldn't do a decision.
Okay, yeah.
It seems like a small thing, but using those natural word pairings, it just instantly makes your English sound smoother.
More authentic, right?
100%. It's imagine wearing a suit that's, perfectly tailored for you versus something you just kind of threw together from your closet.
Yeah.
They both get the job done, but one just it just fits right,
Totally. And what I'm hearing from this guide is mastering these collocations, it can really boost your confidence when you're speaking.
Yeah.
Because it just feels right,
Exactly. It takes away that second guessing yourself, wondering if you're using the right words together.
Because you just know. You feel it.
Precisely. It becomes automatic. And the best part is you can start incorporating them right away.
Love that. So actionable, right?
Yeah. Totally. For example, instead of just learning the word take, right? You learn it in those chunks, in those common phrases like take a break, take a chance, take it easy. You're basically giving your brain those ready-made building blocks for speaking.
Okay, I am so on board with this. It's like learning phrases instead of just single words.
Exactly. It just makes it so much easier to actually use what you're learning in real conversations.
Which is, let's be real, the whole point, right?
Exactly. We don't just want to learn English in a vacuum. We want to use it to connect with people, share ideas, live our lives.
Preach. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here, from shadowing to thinking in English, but the guide, it wraps up with some, I think, really important words about, keeping things realistic, setting those achievable goals, and, most importantly, celebrating the wins along the way.
Yes, 100%. Because let's be honest, learning a language, any language, it takes time. It takes effort. It's a journey, not a race, right?
Totally. And it's so easy to get caught up in that trap of wanting to sound perfect right away.
Oh, I know it. Striving for that perfect grammar, the flawless accent, it can be paralyzing.
Absolutely. But you know what? Even native speakers, even those of us who use English in every single day, we mess up.
All the time. We stumble over our words. We say, we used the wrong tense. It happens.
Exactly. So it's not about perfection. It's about progress.
Exactly. It's about getting your message across, connecting with others, expressing yourself, and, having fun with it.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. So as we wrap up this awesome deep dive, all about unlocking your English-speaking potential, I just want to leave you with this thought. You've got this. You're already understanding, which is huge. Now it's about building on that, brick by brick, conversation by conversation, mistake by mistake.
Love that. And remember, every time you step outside your comfort zone, every time you try to use your English, you're one step closer to fluency.
Couldn't said it better myself. So from both of us, keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep having fun with it. Until next time.